Have you ever felt like you're constantly, I don't know, hitting invisible walls in life? Like
Yeah.
there's just this ceiling on what you can achieve, or maybe just that nagging feeling that some things are plain impossible for you?
Yeah. I think most people can relate to that feeling.
Right. You're trying, you're striving, but the results just feel out of reach. Or maybe you feel stuck, in a cycle of illness or some kind of limitation.
Mm.
What if, and this is a big what if, those limits weren't actually real? What if they're just illusions we've somehow been, well, hypnotized into believing?
That's a truly profound question. And, it's exactly the core of what we're diving into today.
Okay.
We are taking a really deep look into this extraordinary collection of insights. It's from the book Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Baird T. Spalding.
Ah, okay. I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And these sources, they present a pretty radical path, honestly.
Mm,
But in many ways, it's also surprisingly almost scientific.
scientific. How so?
Well, it's about understanding your inherent power.
Uh-huh.
And they offer not just, philosophical ideas, but actual practical ways to move beyond what we tend to call impossible.
Right. Breaking through those walls I mentioned.
Exactly, to unlock a truly limitless life. So our mission today is really to distill these powerful teachings you've brought to us, make them accessible, make them actionable for your life.
All right. That sounds like a powerful mission. So let's get right into it then. The masters in these teachings, they make some pretty huge claims about the power of our thoughts,
We certainly do.
saying they shape our reality in ways we barely comprehend. So what's the foundational idea? How does our thinking, our internal dialogue, directly influence things, create our reality?
Okay, so the absolute core insight here is that your focused intention. It's like the universe's most powerful building block.
Focused intention. Okay.
Yeah. The masters describe thought not just as, fleeting mental chatter, but as a true motivating thought focused on a central absorbing point or ideal to bring forth or accomplish. That's the key.
Huh. So very specific.
Very specific. They state it quite clearly. Not one thing comes forth unless man first expresses the ideal.
Wow. Okay, so nothing happens unless we think it first.
That's the essence of it.
Yeah.
Every outcome, every single reality you experience, it began as a precise thought, an ideal held firmly in your consciousness.
Hmm.
And what's really fascinating is how they connect this to a kind of deeper scientific understanding.
Right, you mentioned scientific.
Yeah. The sources suggest that at its absolute core, what we see is solid stuff, material objects. Well, it isn't really solid at all.
Okay, like quantum physics kind of idea.
Sort of heading in that direction.
Mhm.
Imagine the universe as this vast ocean of fundamental energetic particles, like a primal element.
Right.
Your thought then, when it's focused, acts like a powerful magnet, or maybe a sculptor. It draws these particles together and shapes them into your physical reality. They even predict that science will soon discover that all things can be reduced to one primal element, containing innumerable particles universally distributed, responding to vibratory influences.
So our thoughts literally direct these universal vibrations, like tuning forks.
That's a great analogy, yeah. Your focused thought directs the vibration.
Wait, okay, hang on. So this isn't just positive thinking in that kind of, fuzzy way.
No, it's much more direct than that.
This is saying that our thoughts, even the negative ones we don't pay attention to, can directly cause physical conditions. Emotional states.
Precisely.
Like my constant worrying or my fears could actually show up as like an illness in my body.
Exactly. The connection is presented as direct, completely undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
The masters reveal something quite stunning about how inefficiently many of us operate.
How so?
Well, we're told that scientists are telling us that we use 96.4% of our energy in negative thinking.
96%, that's almost everything.
It's huge, right? And here's the kicker. Thus taking infection out of our body and giving it to the negative thinking.
So we're feeding the problems with our own energy.
That's the critical insight. It's
Yeah.
not just a mental drain. It's presented as a physiological leak. You're literally feeding ailments and limitations instead of empowering healing.
Wow.
And this continuous negative thought process, over time, it builds what they call a hypnotic influence.
Hypnotic influence. Like self-hypnosis.
Kind of, yeah. Think of it as this deeply ingrained belief system you've unconsciously created, which then just manifests as physical conditions, emotional states, external limits.
Okay, that sounds pretty bleak. Is there good news?
There is. The flip side is just as powerful.
Yeah.
Reversing this hypnotic influence, they say, can be instantaneous.
Instantaneous.
Once you
How?
shift to conscious, positive I am declarations.
Ah, the I am. I've heard that phrase.
Right. The masters really emphasize the profound difference between saying I will be and I am.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Well, as they put it, positive thoughts are I am not, I will. With a statement he covered every condition. It's about the present moment.
So claiming it now.
Exactly. They clarify this powerful truth. When Jesus spoke of the truth setting you free, he meant precisely this. Declaring your present moment truth, your positive identity right now, immediately liberates you from those negative conditions.
So it dissolves that hypnotic influence you mentioned?
Instantly. It's about embodying the truth of what you want to be right now, not pushing it off into some vague future.
That's a massive implication. Our negative thoughts are basically a kind of self-hypnosis. But the good news, like you said, is we can snap out of it instantly. So how do we actually break free? How do we consciously redirect that energy?
Well, that leads perfectly into the next really monumental piece of these teachings.
Okay.
Understanding our true identity is the key to dissolving those hypnotic influences. And this is where they talk about things like I am God and all are gods.
Right. Okay, that part. For many people, that could sound, well, easily misinterpreted, maybe even sacrilegious.
Absolutely, in these contexts.
So how do the masters frame this to make it understandable and, empowering rather than just sounding arrogant?
That's an excellent point. So building on that idea of our innate power, the teachings take us to this much more expansive understanding of who we are.
Okay.
Now, when they use the term Christ in these teachings, it doesn't necessarily refer to a specific person or religion in the way we usually think of it.
No. What does it mean then?
It's presented as a universal term. It signifies the God principle flowing through the individual.
The God principle,
Yeah.
like an awakened state.
Exactly. An awakened state where we recognize our inherent oneness with, well, the divine, where we embody qualities like unconditional love, boundless wisdom, infinite creative power. The core message is that humanity is created in God's image and likeness, that we possess inherent dominion and mastery over our own reality.
Dominion and mastery.
Yes. The masters stated explicitly, be not only one with God, but be God, actually God. Then you can and do present the divine attributes to the whole world.
Be God. Wow. That's bold.
It is, but it's about recognizing this innate divine quality that is actually mankind's true inheritance, something most of us have just forgotten or become, as they say, absolutely unconscious of.
Because of those hypnotic influences again.
Precisely, because we've accepted these limitations. So it's not about worshiping some external deity out there somewhere.
Right.
It's about realizing and expressing the divine power that resides within you, within everyone.
Okay, so it's internal. It's about realizing and expressing our own divine essence. And Jesus then, in this context, he presented more as a prime example, showing us our potential rather than claiming he was the only one.
Exactly. That's precisely how the masters frame it. They made it very clear Jesus never claimed exclusivity.
Right.
Yeah. Our sources tell us, quote, he never claimed that he was the only one to portray the Christ. They even suggest, in all probability, the one man has come forth 36 times in periods of great stress and misunderstanding. Many others have done likewise.
36 times. Wow. Okay. So others have reached this state too.
Many others, yes. His life, particularly what the masters refer to as the Calvary Way.
You mean like the crucifixion and resurrection?
Yes, his ultimate demonstration of self-mastery over physical limitations, even over death itself. That wasn't just for him.
It was a demonstration.
An intentional one. To show, to illustrate that those he loved, meaning all of humanity, possessed the exact same capacity within themselves.
The same power to overcome even death.
Yes. This Christ consciousness, as they term it, is presented as humanity's true inheritance, a state of perfection in and with God that we are all capable of realizing and expressing, not just a select few.
It's about awakening to that innate perfection that's already there.
That's the core idea.
Okay, this is, well, it gets even more profound and honestly, almost unbelievable for our modern way of thinking.
It challenges a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, because the sources include these incredible, almost mythic-sounding stories. People living for hundreds of years, looking young.
Right.
Instantaneous healings, even by location, being seen in two places at the same time.
Yes, those accounts are in there.
So are these presented as literal events happening? Or are they more like allegories for spiritual growth? Or maybe just metaphors for some inner transformation?
That's a really important question, and it's a truly striking aspect of these teachings. They are presented not as allegories, no.
So literal.
They're presented as literal demonstrations of a higher natural law, a law we are simply unaccustomed to. They argue we call them miracles only because we don't understand the underlying principles at play.
Like gravity was always there before we understood it.
Exactly like that. For instance, the teachings mention the example of Paramhansa Yogananda.
Oh, I know his work, Autobiography of a Yogi.
Right. Well, they cite his body reportedly showing no decay for 20 days after death, staying in a state of, freshness.
Oh.
And then there are descriptions of experiments where this life element is observed leaving the body at death,
Uh-huh.
but can actually be induced to return, instantly healing conditions like the Black Plague, as if death itself was just a reversible state of consciousness.
Instantly healing the plague. That's hard to wrap your head around.
It really is. The sources are very direct about it, though. They say, death as we have known it is not accomplished. There's never a cessation of life.
Never cessation of life.
And even things like bilocation, where someone like Jast was apparently seen in two places at once.
Yeah.
Those are described as factual occurrences, demonstrations of complete mastery over physical limitations achieved through conscious control of those universal energetic particles we talked about earlier.
So it's about transcending what we think are physical laws.
By understanding and working with a deeper reality, yes.
Okay, that completely shifts our perception of reality. And even mortality itself.
Yeah.
So if these accounts are literal, then the whole idea of death is just a misconception, a fundamental misunderstanding of life.
That seems to be the implication, yes.
And if that's true, then what about things like the devil or hell? Are they also just human constructs, part of that hypnotic influence we keep coming back to?
That's exactly how they're framed.
And I guess the big question is, how does this deeper, maybe radical understanding help us, like right now, with our daily struggles, overcoming our current perceived limitations?
Yeah, and how does it apply? It's a crucial question. How do we define our reality and our challenges based on this?
All right.
The teachings state quite explicitly that hell or the devil has no abiding place except in man's mortal thought.
So it's in our thoughts, not out there.
Exactly. They aren't external entities or forces. They're constructs of our own limited consciousness, built from those negative thought patterns we discussed.
Okay.
The only real enemy, according to these masters, is ignorance.
Ignorance of what?
Ignorance of our true divine nature and ignorance of the universal laws that govern creation.
Ah.
And when we truly start to grasp this, it allows us to shift our focus away from fear, away from perceived external threats, towards the supreme law of the universe.
Which is love.
Love? Okay, that sounds nice. But how is it a law?
Well, the sources declare the law of the spirit is the law of love. It is love that governs infinite space and all forms that are projected in space.
It governs everything.
It's presented not just as a warm, fuzzy feeling, but as a potent, active force, a fundamental principle.
So what happens when we use it?
When love becomes the ruling passion, our default state, it naturally dissolves things like hate, greed, selfishness. It brings us into harmony with all the forces of infinite space.
Harmony.
And that harmony, that alignment, is what enables those extraordinary demonstrations of healing and mastery we talked about.
Okay. It connects back.
It all connects. We even see it in small anecdotes in the sources, like that story of a child
Who could apparently walk on clover heads without touching the ground. Or heal others simply by giving love to everything.
just by loving everything.
It sounds simple, but it points to a pure attitude, a conscious application of this powerful universal force.
This all sounds incredibly liberating, almost too good to be true sometimes, but also really intensely challenging.
It is challenging, absolutely.
Because if our thoughts create our reality, and if we are inherently divine, and if love is the supreme law, why isn't everyone living this masterful life? You know?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, and practically speaking, how can a regular person, like a busy parent, a student juggling exams, someone just struggling with daily bills, how can they suddenly apply these huge ideas, especially when they're not, living like the masters in the Far East, meditating in caves or whatever?
Well, it's a very fair point.
Yeah.
A critical, practical question. And the sources actually address this directly.
They do.
Yes, they emphasize that true mastership isn't achieved through just intellectual study. Not just reading about it.
Oh.
It comes through living the life. They state, mastership is everyone's possibility. But this state is not achieved through reading, study, or theorizing, but by actually living the life which the masters live.
Living the life.
Yeah.
So practice.
Conscious, daily practice, constant vigilance over your thoughts, and a really profound shift in perspective. It's not necessarily about grand gestures right away. It's about consistent, small applications.
Okay. So where do we start?
The key, they suggest, is to act as a little child.
Like, be naive.
Not exactly naive, but more about dropping the cynicism, dropping the hypnotic spell of world ideas, the self-imposed limitations we've picked up over a lifetime.
Letting go of the "that's impossible" mindset.
Precisely. Remember that anecdote about the child walking on clover heads?
Yeah, just by giving love.
Right. It illustrates that this isn't necessarily about complex rituals or needing to retreat from the world. It's about cultivating a pure attitude, an unwavering belief, and consciously applying love in every moment, in every interaction. And it's also crucial to recognize that your teacher and your master as your own self. Meaning the masters don't claim any special privilege over you. They simply live in harmony with these principles and show what's possible for all of humanity, including that busy parent, including that student.
So the potential is within us, not external.
Exactly. It's a journey of self-realization that begins right where you are, right now, with a conscious choice.
Okay.
So, if you remember just one thing from this whole deep dive today, let it be this. You are not limited by external circumstances or by conventional beliefs.
Okay. I like that.
You are inherently divine, a son of God, in their terms. And your focused thought, when it's imbued with love and a fearless acceptance of your true nature, that is the most potent force there is for creating a life of perfection and harmony.
It's not about seeking something outside.
No. It's about realizing and expressing what you already are, deep down.
I love that. It sounds so simple in its essence, doesn't it? But yeah, profoundly challenging in how you actually apply it day to day. The whole idea that everything we see as a limitation, from just a minor irritation right up to something huge like illness or even death, is essentially an illusion of thought.
A hypnotic influence.
Right, a hypnotic influence that we can consciously dissolve just by stepping into our true nature, our Christ consciousness.
Look, it's an incredibly empowering perspective, if
Yeah.
deeply challenging. Thanks for breaking down these extraordinary teachings for us.
You're very welcome. It's powerful stuff to contemplate.
It really is. So, if these ideas have resonated with you listening, and you're curious to maybe dive even deeper into the original source material, you can find links to Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Baird T. Spalding right there in the description of this deep dive.
And maybe that leaves us all with a provocative thought to carry with us.
Oh.
What's that?
Well, if our limitations truly are just hypnotic influences that
Yeah.
we've accepted, what truth about your own infinite capacity might you be ready to awaken to declare for yourself right now?
That's a good one to sit with.
Let us know which idea resonated most with you in the comments. We'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts.